Hello and welcome to episode 11 of our IG Live Session series. I'm Tanvi Bhatia and I'm your host. Before we begin, please excuse my tone of voice. I'm a little under the weather. I will try and be as clear as possible. We are going to talk about paradigms today. What are paradigms? We've all heard the word paradigm, but what exactly is paradigm? Albert Einstein famously said, and I quote here, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift." Your paradigms create a glass through which you view the world around you and you make sense of the world around you. How we behave, how we think, how we talk, how we perceive things is all related to our paradigm. The key of freeing ourselves from these paradigms or the mental programming is awareness and understanding of them. Tonight we're going to talk about paradigms and how we can create shifts in our paradigm to get better results and a possible crystal clear future. We're going to talk to our guest expert today is Mr. Ahmed Fadhul. He is a human behavior specialist, he's a global speaker, and he is the founder of V.M.G. Life Manner. Hello Mr. Ahmed, how are you?
Good evening, Ian. Tanvi, how are you?
Good evening to you. Thank you for joining us.
I'm happy and it's my pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, we have a limited time, so we don't want to go, we want to go straight dive into this amazing topic that we've selected, paradigm. So can you please tell us what is paradigm?
Yes, it seems this word paradigm, it's new, but it's very old. It goes back to the Greek. It's actually a paradigma. Paradigma, it's a Greek word. It means the multitude of habit. So the paradigm, it seems the all information, all the knowledge, everything that we are behaving in our life is related to our paradigm. So all our behavior, everything what we do in our life, it's caused by our paradigm. So the paradigm is like the whole information, the data information that it's been input into that brain and created as a mind. That's called paradigm. So paradigm is the multitude of habits.
Can we go a little bit into, because we say there are positive paradigms and then there are negative paradigms. Can we go a little bit before we get into something else? I would like to know what is, because everybody says, oh, there's a positive paradigm and negative. Yeah. Can we differentiate a little bit on that?
Yeah. It's very great question, actually. It's important as well. As I said, it's when we say paradigm, is it the information that we are injected to our mind by the environment. So as a human, let me say, since we're born, we receive information from the parents, and that information creates kind of, data information. And this data information could be negative or positive. It depends of the family behavior. So if the child, for example, live in a negative environment around his family and receive a lot of negative, wrong information and bad atmosphere, and this is, of course, will go as an information. It's like almost an application you are putting into this child as a negative application. And of course, there is a people, as you know, live in the right environment, beautiful environment, positive talk. It's like an application again. You put that information into his paradigm, which is into his mind. So paradigms could be negative or positive. So changing the paradigm or knowing how to change paradigm, it depends if you are aware that there is something goes wrong in your life, you are not happy, you have sickness, you are, for example, you have chronic diseases, and that's caused because of the paradigm. So your multitude of habits and action and behavior create a negative feedback to your body if it is your paradigm is negative. And if it is a beautiful life you're living, it means your paradigm, it's a great input into your mind, so created beautiful paradigm. So negative paradigm and positive paradigms, that's related to the information that you receive it from the environment, from your born, from the day that you're born up to right now.
Okay, so when you're talking about the environmental factors, when you talk about paradigms, how are they formed? Is our DNA also affecting the way our paradigms are created or formed?
Excellent questions. It's actually paradigms, the information that we receive it from the environment is nothing to do with the genetic. The genetics, it is there, but can be activated by the environment. So the environment will activate the gene. If you have genetic, let me say, whatever, you're talking about behavior or like diseases or anything from the previous, like grandmother or great-grandmother, that will be activated by the environment around you. So if the father and mother, a copy of the mother and father or our grandfather and mother, of course that the father and mother will be behave the way how their grandmother and father been behaved. So that will be an information, an input information from mommy and daddy, but actually it's been adapted from as a genetic from their grandmother and father, and that's come to me as a habit, but it's actually been activated by my parents.
So how are they formed? How is our paradigm formed?
It's basically when you have the 5 senses, right? So your 5 senses, since you're born, you have the 5 senses. You hear, you see, you taste, and these things. All of these things, the 11 years from your beginning of your life, or beginning like year 1 to year 11, anything that you see, anything that you hear and touch, as I said, will go to direct to your subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind, especially the 11 years of our age, is like a movie, or let me say a tape recorder of this environment, and this will go direct into the subconscious mind, and that will create in the future my behavior. So all my behavior is basically controlled by my paradigm. Anything's happened to me in my life, the first 11 years, creating really solid my paradigm. So that's how it forms.
So when we are looking at now paradigm, as you said, subconscious until 11 years, when you talk about expectant mothers, when people around them, somebody's expecting a baby, they always say think good thoughts. Right. How does those thinking good thoughts affect the baby or the fetus's paradigm?
The mother, when she is pregnant, and the environment around that mother, let me say it, bad environment or wrong environment or stress environment, the feeling of the mother will be transformed as a data information into the child, as there is a stress mother. So the stress mother will inject this let me say through the blood to the child, as there is a stress mother, which is preparing the child when it's been born. Get ready, your mommy and daddy will be stressed. So it's almost preparing this child through this information, and that will be paradigm as well, creating that paradigm from that time, preparing this child to receive this or to be ready for this negative environment, if it is negative and stress mother that time. But if it is, for example, is a happy mother and there's no problems, happy life, that again will be injecting into the child that get ready, you have beautiful family, you are happy, gonna be happy family, and that will create as information to the child, don't worry, everything will be fine. But that again doesn't mean the child will be happy or not happy when he grow up.
So how is our subconscious, like what happens until age 11? What is the perceptions, what we perceive at that time?
Yeah, well, again, it's related to the paradigm. The subconscious is the paradigm itself. So how all this information been formed? The child.
Can you give us some examples? Let's give us some examples.
Let's go slightly deeper for how the brain and the mind receive the information. That goes to the brain waves. So when we are as a child, we have brain waves delta and theta. Delta when the child is asleep, theta when the child is awake and go for feeding. So we basically talking about the first 1 to 2 years. This time when the brain waves between delta and theta, it is open subconscious mind will receive all the information without any judge. The child cannot judge anything. It just goes as a data information. And again, when he's grow up slightly bigger, of let's say up to 7 to 9 years old, maximum to 11, his brain waves go from delta, theta to alpha. And again, that's information open for all subconscious mind without any judge. Now, this time when he reached over the 11 to 12 years old, the paradigm, or let us say the subconscious mind, will be closed. So any information will receive it from an outside environment that have to be going through filter through the paradigm. So if the paradigm exists, that information or that whatever things happen in front of him as a conscious mind, he will relate to the data information that it's in the subconscious mind, which is the paradigm. If it is in the paradigm, it will become as a behavior. If it is not in the paradigm, he will go as a knowing, as a knowledge, understanding, but not doing. That's why majority of people, if you're talking about information and teaching people information or knowledge, will go to the conscious mind, but not the subconscious mind, which is the subconscious mind. Again, it is the paradigm, which is the behavior. So whatever we learn from an outside as as information, it will not gonna be as a behavior unless we let us say we download it into the subconscious mind, which is we add it into our paradigm.
Let's now get into that. We've covered the subconscious mind, and as you said, after 11 years old, our subconscious mind closes and everything comes as a conscious feeling, right? So I wanted to understand, where do the thoughts come in here? Like when we think, how the thoughts are formed here.
I might say something maybe disturb some people, not accept it, because it's not in their paradigm. It's actually contemplation and thinking completely different. So when we say we are thinking, it's actually we are activating the data information into the subconscious mind. So the thoughts that we receive it from an outside as an idea, we see people behave the way how they will behave. If it is different than our data information, we are not going to accept it. If there is, for example, you go to any different country and you see a culture in front of you, you are not going to accept that culture because your data information completely different than the data information you see it. You might see it, but you were never going to do that behavior. For example, in our region in the Middle East, of course, the female does not go to the swimming pool or to the beach with bikini. But of course, when you go to Brazil or Europe or any country, they have a beach and they are having their cultures open swimming with bikini. See, our culture will not gonna agree with it, but they have no problem with, the other culture would have no problems.
For them, this is a little culture shock. Yeah.
Culture, which is paradigm. In our culture, it's nothing wrong. See, the paradigm is nothing to do with wrong or right. The paradigm is to do with culture. It's nothing to do with wrong or right. So when we say like wearing a bikini in the Middle East, it's nothing to do with wrong or right. It's culture. When you go to Europe or West and have like bikini, it's nothing to do with wrong or right. I'll give you an example, Tanvi. There's a situation happened in Paris 10 years ago, something like this. It was family from Middle East in Paris, and their family enjoying swimming at this beautiful river. However, as you know, in Paris in the summer, everybody's swimming, which is wearing their costume, which is like swimming costume, right? However, the people who sitting there watching people swimming, one of the French guy noticed there is something black and kind of swimming, but with the cloth. So he thought that's somebody drowning. So he actually jumped and he went and he found this is a lady from Middle East wearing her, cover things and swimming there. She said, I'm fine, I can swim. She said, well, you are not actually wearing your swimming costume. You are like with your clothes. So that's the paradigm now. the paradigm for this, French guy, see it's wrong. And her paradigm, now you are swimming in outside, you have to swim with cover. So this is the paradigm, when
basically creating, basically it is the environmental conditioning that we've grown up with.
Correct. And the things as well, Tanvi, the mind cannot distinguish wrong or right. It's nothing to do with wrong or right. So we do it as a habit, and we cannot change. We don't agree with it. It's not. I don't want to do it. They don't agree with it. So people, they want to change, but they cannot change. They want to change, but they cannot change. Why? Because the paradigm is controlling their behavior.
So when we talk about paradigm controlling our behavior, how can we get free from that? How can we create that kind of shift that we can be free from that?
Well, I think this is the magic for any human, that if he understands how to change his paradigm, will change his behavior. And 99.9% person don't want to change the mind. So another way, don't want to change the paradigm. Now, why they don't want to change the paradigm? The paradigm, it is the data information that the human live with. And when he want to change the paradigm, he have to have the tools how to shift. Now, 99% of the human have no idea how to change the paradigm, which in another way, how to change the behavior. There's nobody want to be in a bad behavior. Sometimes we get clash with ourselves. We want to change, but we don't know how to change. It's like, I want to change, but I don't know how to change. That's why when we are stressed, we get upset and we are not happy with something. And suddenly you ask, oh, Tanvi, why are you doing this thing? It's wrong. You say, yes, I know it's wrong. I said, then why do it? You say, well, I don't know. I was upset. I'm not together. So if I want to change our mind or change our paradigm, the secret of it, to have to understand your value, which is the highest value, number one. If I know my highest value as knowing, that's connecting to my heart. So to change my paradigm, if I understand my highest value, which is linked to my heart, then I will move to different consciousness, which is, we call it a soul consciousness, that if you are aware of it and you know your highest value, you will be practicing your highest value. But the practicing the value or anything that is not existing into the paradigm is pain. It's very painful. So it's like the pathway of the cell is not existing of that behavior. So in other way, if I want to change my paradigm, I have to understand that why I want to change it, and I bring the new idea and the new information related to my highest value, and I practice that. If I practice this almost like daily, because that value is related to me and I love to do it even though it's painful, I will practice this. When you practice this, you are shifting the paradigm. So the more you practice this, you're creating a new pathway into the brain, which is you're creating a new mind, and the old mind will stop. The things that you don't want to use it will shrink as almost zero, that information that you don't use it. It's like you have in your phone text message, but you don't use the text message. You use now Instagram or you use the WhatsApp now. So the more you understand that you have a value and you inject that value into your subconscious mind, that's the way how to change your mind in the best way. It's like you changing your habits.
When we're talking, why is this important? Why is creating a paradigm shift important?
Accordingly, the paradigm shift is defined an important change that happened within us. So if we want to change any bad behavior, or let we say disease or chronic diseases, that's caused because of my old paradigm, and if I want to be much happier, I need to change my paradigm. The secret of being happy is to change my own paradigm. So if I don't know how to change my paradigm, I cannot be happy. I cannot be achieving my goal if I don't change my paradigm. That's why many people, you see, well, I do it every year. I'm practicing this, I'm doing that. But actually, 95% our behavior goes to the subconscious, and we are not moving to the new goals or new data information. And we stuck with the old paradigm. So by understanding and changing the paradigm, this means I have to understand that I want to be happier, I want to be healthier, So that's why we need to take an effort to understand our value to change our paradigm.
When we're talking about ourselves, as you said that there are a lot of things that we import or come to us, we reject it because of our paradigm. Do you think that there is some part of us that we reject certain things because of our ego?
Unfortunately, ego is related to the paradigm. Ego wants to protect the information that we have. When I reject something, it means, first of all, it's not the data information is not there. It's not my culture. It's not my habit. So my ego will want to protect my paradigm, want to keep my paradigm safe. So nobody wants to change the paradigm because the paradigm is subconscious, which is very complicated. That will say, who want to change? If you ask anybody, do you want to change? Okay, if they say, okay, I want to change. You ask, what do you want to do? What do you want to change? What's the alternative? If I don't know what to change, I cannot change because the mind will never accept that information. You might like it, I want to do it, but the subconscious will never accept it, which is, you're talking about behavior. You don't want to know, you want to do. Knowing and doing completely different. It is very hard to go dive to understand the willing of changing this. That's why we always say as Elixer of Life, if anybody want to change paradigm, have to discover the highest value, and that's the best key to let the mind accept it by practicing this. Because if it is not your value, you will never practice things that not related to you. You know, if something you don't love, you are not gonna practice it. It means you are not gonna change the paradigm. But if you understand that what you are doing, it is something related to your value, know the things, but you don't change it as a behavior. You might talk about it, you might teach it. You know, you go on teaching what you learn from as a five sense. When you just see, when you learn something, doesn't mean you're gonna do it. Knowing and doing completely different. As an information, for example, you go and learn many things at school. When you go to school, you might even answer a lot of quiz, and you'll be the best to answer that. But you are practicing what you pass, what you are achieved. People score sometimes 99 out of 100 through the test, but that's knowing. When it comes to practice doing as a practical, they don't do it. Why? Because the body feel pain to do it. Unless you discover the highest value, then you see your body, it will allow to move and to do with happiness, with hope. And the pain, it's going to be a pleasure. That's why the secret of changing the paradigm, understanding the highest value and applying that and practicing this daily. The education itself requires a paradigm shift. So because the education is repeating same information, same knowledge to the student, and the student having the same download information from the educations. And when the person receives the same education, and if it's not in line with highest value, he will never gonna do it as a habit. Why? Because it's importing the paradigm form from the family first. So what mommy and daddy behavior will inject that into me. So the school will give me information, but will never give me the behavior of that knowledge. That's why we always, and Mr. Hatem, he put qarar, and qarar is mean taking decision to understand your highest value. When you understand your highest value, you are practicing your highest value, and you're gonna create a paradigm shift within you. And this is where the help of this qarar application app that can help all the students understand the secret way of changing the paradigm from within by yourself without any pressure from other people. It's auto, let me say, changing the paradigm because you understand your highest value. It's important to you. So the pain is going to be pleasure, and your mind will accept this by practicing this daily. And that's how the paradigm can be shifted.
Let's talk a little bit about visioneering. How can thoughts become things?
Thoughts, before it is thought, it is out of our knowledge, and we don't know it. Thoughts, it's from where it comes. If it is thought being existing as a matter, it's already thoughts, but it is being formed as a matter, which is, if I will think about it, this means I'm just copying that thoughts. So which is, I'm not creating any new thing, which is I am programming myself with thoughts that been existing. But if their thoughts, again, we go back to the highest value. If the thoughts that being related to the value, then the thoughts is not existing itself as a matter. So it is the thoughts within me, it's in my heart, but it's not in my mind as a behavior. And that's why the thoughts to create it as a behavior, as a, you know, create it as practicing or moving that thoughts to behave it require the contemplation, and from that you're creating coherence between heart and mind, and you are injecting that in your mind. Heart, brain move that information as a personal thoughts from the intuition, and the imagination will move it to the mind, create it as a mind. Then the mind itself, by doing that, will create a new paradigm again. The thoughts to create it as not just a thought, as actually practicing these thoughts as a matter. You need to move to your highest value and practice your highest value.
But when we talk about like V.M.G, as I was reading the comment from Dr. Mohammed here, he said discovering your highest value is the first step to create a paradigm shift, and then we have to discover how the mind works. In V.M.G, when we talk about value, discovering and practicing your highest value it's the first step of paradigm shift, as Dr. Mohammed has just mentioned here. And he also says that discovering how your mind works would be the second step, as in V.M.G.
Correct.
The third part, which is the goal, the strategic roadmap that we talk about, or the visioneering, how does that change, create a shift?
Excellent. Basically, to create the shift, you need to have the steps, or let me say the action plan to create the shift. Because if there is no plan, it means there is no doing. You'll be like a mess. But by putting a roadmap for you, a daily routine to change it into, you know, or related to your highest value, and you have a visionary, like you have like, let me say 5 to 10 years visionary, and you put action plan daily, monthly, weekly, monthly, yearly to achieve the big goal, which is again your highest value, to achieve it. By putting this action plan, you are actually creating a mind, you're creating a new paradigm, you're creating a new pathway into the brain, which is mind. By doing this daily, weekly, monthly, every time we do this, practicing this action plan that related to highest value, this is the secret how we'll move from knowing to doing, from knowing our value to practicing doing our value. So if I love to do something, I will be continue doing this non-stop. But if I don't practice this and with my action plan, that's indicator to me that what I am doing is not my highest value. That's why a lot of people, when they put action plan to achieve the goal, and they think, oh, this is our goal and that's how we want to change. Even less like you want people put in weight, for example, and they go to the healthy club and they do diet and this, but this actually is not their highest value. They want to avoid that pain. They want to avoid that pain, so they cannot achieve it. But if you put action plan related to highest value, definitely you're gonna achieve it. It requires a matter of practice. It requires a time to create this from just thoughts to actually tangible thing that you say, wow, it's almost like a creation.
I'm sure it's not hard. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do, because I'm sure that I'm sure you've come across people as well who show great results, and then after that it just plateaus. Why does that happen?
Achieving a great result doesn't mean again I'm doing my highest value. So I'm capable to do that. If I'm capable to do this, so as a human, we can do a lot of things. We could paint, we could run, we could do exercise, we could swim, we could farm, we could do all of these things. But even if I do it and I'm good at it, it means I practice this many times and I become good at it. It's almost like addictions. Addiction, you might do a lot of things, you addict into it, and you'll find yourself you're great in it. But is it your happiness? Is it that really your highest value? Is not. That's why achievement, if it is not related to highest value, it means you are copying people. And that's again, you go back to the paradigm. We are copying other people's thoughts because our paradigm is full of information that other people achieve it. But this is not our life. So that's why we should not copy other people. We should create the shift by understanding our highest value, by practicing our highest value. And this is the secret of changing the paradigm.
When we talk about paradigms in terms of your, behavior, as you said, your behavior is linked to your paradigm. How can we start feeling that there are changes in our behavior? Can we consciously feel that there are changes happening?
Yes, absolutely. Obviously, when you're changing the paradigm, you see a result changing. Because if you are not changing your paradigm, you don't see a result. So if I say I want to change my paradigm, and I don't see my results, mean I have not actually changed my paradigm. Paradigm is a multitude of habit. It is a behavior. So if I want to change the behavior, as we said, we inject a new behavior. New behavior, if I practice it, obviously it will give me a result. And if that result given me, and I'm quitting, I'm not happy with it, that's indicator that's not my value. And that's why people quit. So changing paradigm, to see the result of changing paradigm, take time. It's like almost farming something. When you farm something, don't wait to claim the fruits. You are enjoying to plant the plant itself. You are growing this plant. You will get the fruit, but it will take time. To be hurry to claim or to take this fruit, it means you are not doing your value, and what you are putting into your mind, it's a stress, but you think it's a value, and that's why people, they quit from it. And that's obviously they are trying to copy somebody else, and they cannot take the pain, even though they've taken it, practice it many times. And you see behavior of negative, inside them they feel negative behavior, feeling I'm not happy, they are not, it's too much for me, and that. And that's why they cannot achieve it and they quit.
Like, for example, if we are talking about V.M.G, is there something or paradigm shift, basically certain biological age that people might create that shift more easily than once they are in a certain later age? Is that a factor somehow?
I can answer this on the spot. There is two ways to change behavior. Two ways only. The first one, which is shock, severe shock, will change the behavior. Severe shock, talking about severe sickness, almost close to death, or accident will change behavior. I give you one story about changing paradigm. And that's true. And I witnessed it about maybe 30 years ago. It used to be the seatbelt in Bahrain was not necessarily, it's not by the law. Then they put the law, you have to put seatbelt. So the first year, imagine, majority of the driver, they don't put seatbelt. They cheat themselves. Some of them, they pull it under their arms and they hold it, but they don't, buckle it, right? There is a story, there is one lady and she have a child of 4 years old sitting in the front of the front seats and mommy driving, and he's standing and the windows down and he's halfway up seeing the breeze, okay? No seatbelt, nothing, not at the back seat. And the woman, she's not putting her seatbelt as well. Now I want you to, after I will reveal what's happened, I want you to see her, or to give me the mom behavior. There is suddenly in front of her car stop, so she slammed the brake. So you can imagine the 4 years old, where is he?
On the dashboard.
No, outside the car, more than 24 meters away, dead. Now, the question to you, do you think the mother now should drive the car without seatbelt? Now, do you think she will keep a child without seatbelt? No, this is paradigm shift. Now, this is paradigm shift in her mind. Okay? This is one. But if you want to change any paradigm, don't wait for the accident. Don't wait for you to be hurt to change. Identify your highest value. Recognize your highest value. So child dead in front of me, or my child dead, it's almost I'm losing my highest value. There is people destroying their family because they have not recognized their highest value. They cannot change paradigm because they have not recognized their highest value. But the moment they recognize their highest value, is from within the change, and the mind will accept it, will be obeying the behavior. Have no problem for the mind adopting the highest value. If the mind recognizes the highest value, but require practicing to shift the paradigm, which is when you practice it, are you feeling pain or pleasure? By doing the highest value, of course, pleasure. So the mind will accept it, doing more and more and more and more. Take times, which will form this new pathway, the firing and wiring at the same brain cell, and that's the shift.
There are times that you're talking about 30 years ago, we still see that happening, actually.
Yes,
we still see it
absolutely
happening. But it's how, I remember that when I was, I used to, initially I used to get very angry looking at that. I used to get very upset looking at other people with their children on the front seat and driving. But I think now I've started, I've started putting that kind of thing, that it's what is affecting my life. It's my paradigm, my behavior that I need to control. I can't be responsible for other people's behavior.
No.
But when you talk about paradigm shift, if as an individual, if I create a paradigm shift and I change the behavior in my family, I will shift. I will create that kind of environmental conditioning that I will give it to my children, and then the children's children, to children's children. So basically, if one person in the family who has created that positive shift in their paradigm, it can affect generations after that.
Absolutely. See, that's why we cannot change people. But if we know how to change ourselves, we'll be a model for other people, and the other people will copy us, because easy to copy people. But to change is not easy. But copying other people, because you see their happiness, you see their achievement, and we want to achieve things. Obviously, a human being want to achieve something, but what to achieve? So we are copying people who achieve things, and we want to be like them. But if you are doing something what you love as the highest value, you become a model, and people who seeing you successful will come to you, say, Tanvi, how did you do it? We want to be like you. So when you say, I've done this and this, they will copy you. So don't worry about changing people. Understand your value, change your value. Change yourself to reach your value, and you become a model. And obviously, people will copy you straight away. So people will follow other people's value automatically if they don't know their value. But if you feel you are doing great job, obviously people will follow you. The secret of achieving anything in life is by understanding the paradigm and how to change the paradigm. Paradigm is nothing to do with wrong or right. It's to do what you want to achieve in life and inject it to your subconscious mind and create a new environment, a new culture, shifting the culture to new culture. And by understanding your highest value is the most important things to have it as a habit, as a behavior. This is where the happiness and beautiful health and other people's life, it will be like coming like a gift.
If anybody would like to know more about V.M.G. and how to create a shift in their paradigm, and like to know more about what we do here at Kanz Elixer, at Tanvision, please feel free to drop some messages. We do a lot of in-person and over Zoom classes that you can attend. Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmed, for joining us, and I'm sure we'll have a bucket full of list topics very soon, and we'll have more conversations again soon. Thank you.